Am I live? I don't know if it's working or not. I might play with some lighting. Might be better, might be worse. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go turn on some other lights. We'll see. We have one viewer, maybe. I don't know how this works. I've never done it before. But we are doing bayonets of World War II. We've got Japan, Britain, Germany / this is Czechoslovakia, but then the US, and then Russia. I don't have an Italian bayonets or anything like that quite yet. Let's see. You like that lighting? Is it bad? I think it's a little better. But this is actually starting off with the Japanese bayonet. So this is this is a pre-1900 bayonet. So this probably would have seen use in World War II, but this was actually made for the Type 30 Arisaka. Type 99 is the one they used in World War II. See, this is the more fitting World War II bayonet. Right there. That fits better. Meow. I didn't bring my Swiss bayonets. We'll throw these to the side. I was really hoping lives would attract more random viewers, but I don't know. So this live is kind of, I guess, bayonets of World War. Oh, they laughed. I don't know exactly how lives work, if views or whatever, but so this stream here is bayonets of World War II. So we've got Japan, Britain, Germany. This is Czechoslovakia, but they use essentially the same bayonet. Then we have the US, and then we have the Russian Mosin-Nagant bayonet. Please comment or whatever. I don't know exactly how this works. Never done a live before. Was hoping I could get a few viewers, get a few subscribers. I don't know. See how it worked out. But we'll start off over here with our Japanese bayonets. So I did a longer form video on these bayonets. They're quite cool. I have 3 of them. One's a pre-1900 bayonet that was made for the Type 30 Arisaka. This is about 1940s. This is the mid-war bayonet. You can see it's a little more squared off, but it still has the quilling on it. This one, if you look at it, this one was made by Tokyo Army Arsenal here, and it's a very beautiful blued blade. Japanese bayonets are sharpened from here all the way down to there, just about. They're interesting enough. So Japan and Australia are the only 2 countries in World War II that kept a long sword type bayonet. The US had the M1905 bayonet that they then scrapped, and I think it was 1942 or 43. They went to the shorter. This is a M1 Garand bayonet, but they also shortened some of them down, and the blood groove or the fuller, you can tell if they've been shortened because the fuller will go to the end of the blade. So it's like if you took this Arisaka bayonet and cut it off like right there, the fuller is going to go to the end of the blade. But yeah, this is a M1 Garand bayonet. It's in pretty good condition with the original scabbard on it. This one is not dated, but it was made, dang it, I can't remember what company that is. But I really love the design of the M1 Garand bayonet. I love the way it handles. The Swiss K31 bayonet's actually very similar to this too, but the way they handle is great. I love the fact that they lock into the scabbard. This is something I didn't know until I actually got one, is there's holes in the crossguard on it, and it actually locks into the bayonet with these little clips there. So when you snap it in, you have to press the release button to take it off. And then it also works the release back there. But continuing on, so this is the British, I believe, 1905 pattern bayonet. If I'm not, it might, no, 1907, if I believe. This is more of a World War I bayonet. It, again, like the Japanese Arisaka bayonets, is a more longer sword bayonet. This one has the more standard attachment point there. You know, you just got your muzzle ring up there, and then that's your little locking piece. That's how it is on most bayonets. And this is my VZ24 bayonet. So this is very similar to the German Kar 98 bayonets. The Germans, when they captured Czechoslovakia, actually took a bunch of the German VZ24s, or not, the Czech VZ24s. They're so similar to the German K98s that they just adopted them, and where they took the factories in Brno, started making them for themselves, and then eventually just went over into straight making K98s in Czechoslovakia. This one's not in super great condition, but I mean, it still has the scabbard. And interesting enough, these bayonets are sharpened on their top edge. Unlike most other bayonets, they're sharpened on their bottom edge. This one is on the top. This one, I've had my VZ24 for a little while, and I wanted a bayonet for it, but I was not going to pay over $60 for one, so I found this one on eBay, and I give like $47 for it. Then it got lost for 3 months in the mail, and I assumed somebody had stolen it. But here it is. I've just got to clean it up a little more. I've done some scrubbing on it. You can see that this side is a little bit better looking. It looked like this originally, but I've done a little cleaning up on it. And lastly, we have, this is the Russian bayonet. They're a cruciform bayonet, so they've got 4 different blood grooves in them, or fullers in them, which is cruciform. And they just attach by, you'll take the muzzle, or you'll put this on the muzzle, and the front sight will go in here, and then you press down this button, rotate it, and then it'll lock the front sight right there. They actually, interesting enough, also have a screwdriver on the end of them, so you can take apart your Mosin Nagant with your bayonet, which is pretty cool. But if you have any questions or want to see something, this is kind of what I had. I didn't know what to do a live about. You can't touch guns, sadly, or I'd have the guns to go with all these. I have a couple different more bayonets sitting around here. This is the mid-war bayonet here for World War II. This is a Japanese Arisaka bayonet that's early war, or not early war, but it's pre-1900. So this one, I have like a 15-minute video on me just rambling about the 3 Japanese Arisaka bayonets I have. But there's quite a few differences in these two. Like, if you look at the scabbards, this one is just kind of a tube, and it just ends there. Well, this one has a little ball that's pinned in place, and it's just overall a lot smoother. Like the attachment point for the frog on it, you can't really see it because this one has the frog, but it's really square on this one, the mid-war bayonet, but on the pre-1900, it's very rounded. It's very pretty. And the bayonet itself, the blade is left in the white, while your mid-war and then your last-ditch bayonets, they are blued. But they're all of mine are Tokyo Army Arsenal made. But the reason you can tell this one is pre-1900 is because it's so smooth compared to the rounded off, or the blockiness of this one. This one's rounded off. There's a couple more differences, because this was made for the Type 30 Arisaka. This one is made for the Type 99. Even though they're interchangeable, you can use the Type 30 bayonet on almost any Arisaka. There's a few exceptions to that. But you'll notice the serial number on this one is on the tang of it instead of being on the pommel. So you can see that it's on the pommel here on the mid-war bayonet, and pre-1900 has them on the tang of it. Then they quit doing that. It's got a few more symbols. Probably won't be able to focus enough to see them, but there's one there. You can see that one there, that proof mark. But I love the Japanese rifles. They're really great guns. And then finally, rounding this one off, we have this, which is the last ditch bayonet. So these are reproduction frogs, but you'll notice that this one has a lot of similarities between the mid-war bayonet and the last ditch. But it does not have a quilling anymore, so they just squared this off, or just used a flat piece of steel instead of rolling it, because that saved a lot of time. And even though the bodies are pretty much and the grips and everything are pretty much squared off. You can notice how much of a dip in wood quality there is in between these two bayonets. Now this one I estimate is made around 1944, 1945, and this they share the same scabbard. But another really interesting thing is it has no blood grooves. Like if you pull it fully out, there is no fuller in this thing. It is just straight blade. And you can notice the stamping on this one is very crude too. Like if I look at the pommel of this thing, if it'll focus on the pommel of it, you can barely read the serial number because it's just everywhere. It's hand stamped and it's just everywhere. If you'll compare that to how clean it is on the mid-war bayonet, it's very interesting. But it's even more apparent when you start looking at the blades, in my opinion. I like lining them up like this. So you've got your late war bayonet there, mid-war, late war. Wish I wouldn't lay it on top of the other ones, but I don't really have a choice right now. And pre-1900, you can see that the blades are quite different. The actual blood groove itself is cut different in these two. On the older pre-1900 one, it's more squared off, and this one's more rounded. And they're really cool. I like them quite a lot. Of course, I have 3 of them. I love the way they feel on the rifles too. Of course, they are a lot more front heavy. They're not as good, really, logistically. They're not as good as the M1 bayonet. I do like it a lot more. The M1 Garand is a heavy rifle in itself, but with this bayonet on it, you don't really notice it a whole lot, and it's very maneuverable. I really do like it. I haven't actually put this one on my VZ yet because I'm still cleaning it up. I'm going to take it to a polish and buff it up a little bit. And this one, even on the stinking Lee Enfield, is also unwieldy because, I mean, it's about the same length, a little bit longer than the Arisaka bayonet, but I do like the scabbards on these. The British did this for a long time. I have a 1899 Martini Henry bayonet. It's a 1905 pattern, and it uses a pretty similar scabbard, even though it is it's not a cruciform, it's a spike bayonet, like the Russian one here. That's kind of what I had to show off. I don't know exactly what to do on lives. If you guys have any questions or want to see something else, I would love it. Please subscribe. I've got a lot of stuff coming in the future. I've got some helmets that I've done some videos on that are coming out here in the future. I just did an unboxing where I unboxed this bayonet. There's also a mystery bayonet in there too that I still have no idea what it is. I've been looking at that thing, all the markings on it, which there's only one. There's only one marking on this stinking thing. And cannot find the manufacturer, where it came from. Looks like a rolling block spike bayonet, but I have no clue. If you want to see some other World War II stuff and you're patient, I will be back in a second. I can get some stuff. You can type in the chat whatever you want to see. I've got my World War II helmets. I've got a Vietnam helmet. I've got web gear setups, canteens, books. I've got a U.S. Marine Corps machete that's really stinking cool, and some other one-of-a-kind stuff, some World War I stuff, World War II. You know, if you guys want to look at anything like that, I'd really appreciate it. But so one thing about these bayonets that I find really cool. So originally this, all right, I'll get some of that World War I stuff out. Originally, especially one piece that I just got recently too, but with these bayonets, so originally this style was adopted for the Krag Jorgensen in the 1890s, except it had a button more similar to kind of like this British one on the back to lock and unlock it. But it's actually inspired by the Swiss Schmidt-Rubin bayonets. I wish I'd pulled mine out to show you my K31 bayonet. I'm getting a sawback bayonet for my G11. That thing will be really cool. I'll have it out. But I'll go get some World War I stuff, and I'll be back in a minute. I might have to throw this stuff off screen, but we'll see how it works. let me move some of this stuff out of the way. I've got a whole World War I web gear set up with an M1910 haversack and some other, and the cartridge belt and stuff, but I'll have to drag that out. It'll take a little longer to get to, so I thought I'd just grab some of this stuff out of my foot locker, and I might keep these bayonets in the background. I don't know. If they get in the way, I won't, but we'll lay all of them up there. So our first item I just got today, and it is really, really cool to me. So this is a World War I medic pouch that has had some field modifications to it. So it's got this beautiful red cross painted on the front of it. And inside, this is a made by Mills in August of 1918, but it says J. Weaver, 117th Infantry. And I was able to find this guy. I was able to find a little article about him. I wish I'd printed it out already, but I literally just got this. But it's in pretty decent shape. There's the wire hanger on the back. It's got some rust marks on it. It's got one hole in it there. And there's some oxidation on these buttons. I'm going to clean these buttons up. I'm not necessarily going to polish them. I'm just going to get all this oxidation off of them, so that way they'll snap easier and they won't get stuck, and then I might accidentally rip this fabric, because I would really hate to destroy this thing. It's survived since 1918, and then some idiot gets a hold of it. But the paint is sadly flaking off of it, but it is such a cool... I've never seen anything like this before. Such a cool find. I'll lay that up there. This is another really interesting thing. So this one, I knew what I was getting. I was pretty sure it was original. I seen it on eBay, and I was like, I gotta have that thing. And it came with a pistol belt. I've got tons of those. I've got to sell them things. But I've got a bunch of World War II pistol belts. It came with the World War II canteen from 45, with the cover from 45, canteen from 43, and I can't remember when the cup was from, but it came with some other stuff too, and I didn't give a whole lot for it, but I needed a World War I med pouch anyways, so. But the next thing I've got is this. So if you look at it from this side, it just looks like a regular pistol belt with a little doohickey coming off of it. But what this is way more interesting than what I originally thought. I did not expect to get this at all. I got a huge lot of military surplus in, and this was in it. So what this is a M1910 pistol belt that a soldier has hand-sewn shotgun shell cells onto, so they could use their trench gun with this belt. Now, this is a sword hanger. This is an officer's sword hanger, and these themselves are pretty cool. So they are usually issued to officers with these belts, and it's hard to find them with these hangers, but it's even cooler to stinking see this. I'll get a shotgun shell out here in a minute. I've got a brass one, but they're all sewn very well. So they're a little frayed on the bottom, and there's some string coming off, but on the top they're doubled over, so that way it's got a nice edge on it, and you just put the shell in there, and it's sewn here, and it's even got his name on the inside of it. But you can see how it was hand stitched, or maybe it was on a machine. I'm not 100%. Maybe his mother did it, but you can see there's his name, Hardin Rook. From the looks of it, it's hard to find soldiers, especially with just a name. I'm pretty sure I found this guy, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure I found him though. But not only that, but if you look here, this canvas wasn't long enough, so they took and they sewed the canvas together to make it longer. And this holds 12 shotgun shells. It goes from about the center of your body, about your belly button, to your back. So it's perfectly sized. You get 12 shotgun shells that go on your left side all the way across. And what originally gave this away to me that this wasn't made like this is because this little button is where you attach your 1911 pouch, or later on your M1 carbine pouch, and it's covered up. You can't actually use it with this because all these cells are here. And I was like, that's kind of peculiar. But if you allow me to get a shotgun shell, I'll be back in a second. So here we have just a brass shotgun shell. This one I think is Russian. It was given to me. But interesting enough, so going on a little rant, I did have an 1897 trench gun. It's not an actual trench gun. It was a 1897 shotgun commercially produced that a guy put one of the shields on that you can attach a bayonet. Anyways, so with those trench guns, they actually did not use the brass shotgun shells until late war, and barely at that. So they used paper shells, and the thing about that is when you have a paper shotgun shell in a trench, it pretty much just disintegrates because of the water and everything. And the actual slam fire function on those guns, which is where you hold down the trigger and you pump it, and every time the pump goes forward and it locks into place, it fires again without you having to pull the trigger again. The slam fire function usually didn't work because those shells would swell and they would not cycle very well in those shotguns. But when the soldiers kept complaining about this, they eventually were like, okay, we're going to do something about it. So they started, late in the war, they started producing these shotgun shells, but then the war ended and they never actually got issued these shotgun shells. So then in the interwar period, the 1930s, 20s, 30s, they just used up these shotgun shells, went back to producing paper ones because they're cheaper. We're going to cheap out. Then World War I starts, or World War II starts. And they still use the paper shotgun shells. And guess what happened? The guys with the shotguns, especially in the Pacific, said, hey, these stinking suck. We can't use them in our guns. They're paper. They're disintegrating. They're swelling. And so the U.S. is like, okay, we got to go back, and we're going to make some brass shotgun shells. And then they did, and then the war ended. So they really never got much use in World War I or World War II because the logistics and the supply lines. But, I mean, that's what that looks like in here. You can imagine that going all the way down. I wish I had more than one, but I just have the one. I've put regular shotgun shells in it before. It works phenomenally well. I have to get an 1897 for this belt. It's just such a cool item. I've never seen anything else like it before, and I don't think I'll ever part with this stinking thing. It was such a surprise to find it, and the history that's just in these stitches is just amazing. One of a kind item, and for some reason this goofball has it. But keeping with World War I, this is just a World War I canteen that I've got. It's long, dated 1917, and then I don't have a cup for it, sadly, but it's canteens, 1918. Just your standard World War I canteen. I've got the haversack and everything. But, yeah, I just grabbed it because it was quick. And then I also grabbed this because it was quick. This is my World War I trench knife. It's not an original, sadly, but it's still really cool. I've picked it up, and I said, I have to have this stinking thing. It's solid brass, and the feeling of holding this thing is just great. The original ones, though, they go for insane amounts. Like, I seen one that had the original scabbard for it for, I think it was $5,000 or some crazy bullcrap. But there's that. I like to lay it against my M1 steel pot because I think it's cool. Here is another item that I have a video coming out on that's pretty neat. I'll move this over so I don't do anything to it. So this, if you'll recognize, is a U.S. Marine Corps machete. This one is dated 1944, is made by Collins & Co. Very good machete. I like this stinking thing. It feels very similar. These grips are actually not wood. They're some kind of they're not. I don't think they're Bakelite. They're a little stronger than that, but some kind of early plastic. But very good machete. Feels great in the hand. But what's peculiar about this thing, you might be looking at this and saying, that doesn't look like a machete cover, really. And, well, you would be right, because when you flip it over, its mysteries reveal themselves, because this is not a machete cover. It's a spare barrel cover for a Browning M1919. This is what they'd put their spare barrels in, but somebody didn't have a sheath for their machete. So what they did was they took this spare barrel cover and they cut it down, and you can see they stitched on an edge to this thing and riveted a wire hanger on it, which is, I didn't even know it had this when I bought it. I just thought it was just a regular machete cover. To be honest, I didn't even research the machetes because I give $30 for it. I mean, I said, sure, it's a World War II machete, And then I find out that this thing is custom made by a soldier. And I'm like, man, this thing is stinking awesome. So naturally, I put it on my Marine Corps kit. I've got a 1943 782 pack that I hang this off of with a 1911 pouch, with a 1911, a carbine, and canteens and stuff like that. I don't have a carbine or a 1911. I've just got a pouch for 1911, or a holster for 1911 and a pouch for a carbine. But this machete is it's one of my favorite items now. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff that I think is really cool, like this pistol belt, awesome. That is also becoming one of my new favorites because of how obvious it is that this one's modified by a soldier. These two, you can look at them and not really notice that they've been modified. That this has got, those have been sewn on. That this was cut down because it's done quite good, quite frankly. Except I don't know why it's burnt, but it's burnt. But this one, never seen anything like that before. Never really would have thought of a soldier doing that, but this makes sense. That makes sense. That's functional. This makes sense. That's functional. This is something that you know has medical supplies in it. It doesn't necessarily need a Red Cross symbol on it. But that's cool. That's just a little bit of storytelling, a little bit of personalization that soldiers would have. I grabbed, so this is my M1 steel pot. I might not be able to fit it on camera, but this is my M1 steel pot. So I've got these M44 goggles on it, and then I've got I think this is an original strap. I have a box of helmet parts. This net's original that I've got this stuff out of, but this is a 50s liner, sadly. I'm going to sew some original chin straps on it, but that's a 50s liner. And this, or not 50, but a 50 shell, and then this liner. So this is a 45 liner, I believe. I've not got the net stuff down in it because I don't like the stress that it puts on this liner. This one, I don't know if when somebody did this, but I've got to fix it because they've strapped this to the nape strap on the back of it. I don't think this one has a nape in it. No, it does. It's in there. It's got a nape in it. It's just not, it's weird. Anyways, they've taken and strapped this in here instead of on the inside of the liner like it's supposed to be. So I'm going to fix that, but it wears just fine like that. Actually, I don't have any problems with it. It feels comfortable. I might have to get a new nape strap now that I've noticed that it might be broken. I threw the 3rd Armor Division patch in there because my great-grandfather was 752nd Artillery 3rd Armor Division, and I didn't really have anywhere to put it, so I just threw it in the back of this helmet. I really love the way the goggles look because it looks less like a tortoise shell and more cool. It just takes up the space on the helmet. Actually, the only reason I put the goggles on there, even though they're the incorrect ones, they're a different pattern of goggle that they probably would have used being artillery. But I have a picture of him standing on the back of a deuce and a half truck hauling artillery, and I'm assuming 1944, 1945, and he's got his M1 steel pot on with a pair of goggles on it. He doesn't have a net, but he's got a pair of goggles on there. It's pretty cool. I can go, let's see. Let me read the comments. Yeah, this is some of my most interesting stuff. I've been collecting for about 2 years now. Started about Christmas 2 years ago. I got an M1 Garand. It was a Korean War M1 Garand cartridge belt, and that kick-started everything. And now this is all I do, like day and night. This is all I do, and I've been able to procure some pretty amazing stuff for not that much money. This stuff is insanely valuable. Like that helmet, that M1 steel pot, I think the box of helmet parts that I have has a bunch of sweatbands in it, a bunch of different other parts to fix them. It's got some A-yokes for airborne helmets. It's got all kinds of other parts in it and stuff. And I think I give like $30-40 for it. And it has a Pacific War helmet net cover that was cut from, I believe, some kind of cargo net. It's got the big wide holes in it that I can use for early Marine Corps stuff. But I think I give $100 for that helmet, liner, shell, and then another shell from Vietnam, and a paratrooper liner from Vietnam, then a M3 helmet from World War II that the bomber crews used, and a Spanish Modelo Z helmet, which looks like a German. It looks like a German style helm, but it's got like a crest on the front of it. And it's hard to find them with those crests, but I give nothing for those helmets because I knew the guy that had them, and he said he didn't really care what he got for him, which is crazy lucky. I also got this bayonet off of him for $100, and an M7 grenade launcher. I should have pulled it out too. That thing is awesome. It's one of my favorite parts about the M1 Garand is how the M7 launcher works on it. But I'll go grab some other crap, and we'll see how much crap I can pile in front of this camera. Okay, we got some more stuff. This is just a leather 1911 magazine pouch. This one, I believe, is unissued. It doesn't have any markings on it, but as far as I can tell, it's original. You can see from the way the leather is, it's never really been used. It's got a little oxidation on it, but it opens up just fine. It's a good piece of leather. Nothing too special. I just grabbed it 'cause it's kind of unique. I didn't give too much for it because I didn't really know what they're worth. I just wanted it. They're actually pretty expensive for some reason, but I can't actually use it because I don't want to stress this leather on it because it's so pristine. It's so nice. But I've got that. I also have a 1911 holster that is kind of interesting. But this is something I just recently got here. So this is a child's gas mask from World War II. So this one is just a canvas little pouch that has a little button there, and then it's got this adjustable strap. And when I looked at it, I was like, man, I wonder how much. These are not that expensive. They're not super rare. They got a little drain hole in them. But they're not, like I have a kidney gas mask bag. This thing is really cheaply made. Like the material is really thin on it, the canvas. And it's nothing like the M7 gas mask bags that or the M6 gas mask or the kidney bag that I've got. But this is the mask itself. This one's in okay condition. I mean, it looks fine. It's got a dent or two in the respirator on it, but the rubber is very stiff on it, and it's cracking on the corners and stuff. But it's a really cool display piece. That's kind of why I got it. I don't know where I'm going to display it or when, but I've just kind of got it sitting in my Foot Locker right now. But it's really neat looking. I'd say it's pretty scary looking on a child. I mean, I can't imagine going outside and there's like the neighborhood children are wearing these. Yeah. But, I mean, it was a real fear of the time that they could get gassed or something on the home front. It's got little stampings in there, too. Very cool little piece. I've not really seen one before, and then I saw this one. I was like, I'll buy it. It's kind of neat. But, yeah, you don't see them too often, but they are out there somewhat abundantly. It's crazy. The one thing is that I've realized is how much crap there is from World War II. Like the insane amount of stuff that still exists from that war, and it was, 80 years ago, is crazy to me that there's so much of it that still exists. They made an insane amount. This here is one of my other M1 steel pots. So this is a original early pattern Mitchell cover that I just put a helmet band on, and this is a Vietnam service medal and a lighter. They wouldn't never put these two on there because this lighter's too shiny, and maybe 5.56. I've seen some pictures of doing that, but I don't know if that's FARB or just something every soldier do every now and then. But this one I actually have signed. So I've got 3 different Vietnam veterans have signed this helmet. I believe this shell is from the 80s, but this liner is a Vietnam era liner. It's got the nape strap on, or it's got the helmet, the little back strap. I'd never actually seen one of these in person until I got this helmet. But it's sweatbands in worse condition than my World War II one. Maybe that's because the World War II one's not original to that helmet. I don't know, but it has a name right here and a service number. I haven't actually looked that one up yet. I need to. But interesting enough, this one has another service number. It's got a little 8 painted there, but it's got another name and service number that's completely different. That's painted right here under the sweatband. I don't know if they got mixed up or what happened with this liner, but there's 2 different soldiers' names in there. I really like the way this one fits, especially with that strap on the back of your neck. I did oil this leather, but as you can see, it's got cracks and stuff in it, sadly. But yeah, that's another one of my helmets. I'm going to have to put up so much bullcrap later. But if you guys have any questions about some of this stuff, I'd love to answer them as best as possible. If there's anything you'd want to see again, or, you know, ask me about other random stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with this. I was just going to see, the main goal of this was to see if I could, there's a guy that I watch every now and then. He does a lot of lives. He got monetized pretty quick doing them. So I wanted to see what kind of foot traffic you could get from doing lives. And I didn't really know how I would structure it. This stuff is cool. I wish you could handle firearms, because I would show you some pretty neat stinking stuff, but also it's hard to keep a bunch of guns in one place because they take up a lot of space. Like those bayonets, I mean, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bayonets in one spot, and they're not taking up that much room. But thinking you can't carry more than 3 military surplus guns at a time, or they're stinking heavy. 8, 10 pounds a piece, especially the long guns. I got a Swiss Vetterli it uses a spike bayonet similar to this one. That's stinking, what, I'd say like over 4 feet long, and you put the bayonet on it. It's hard to. I'd actually not seen one of the bayonet until I just found the bayonet for it and got it recently. My video I just put out on unboxing those. That you can see it there. But that Vetterli is 5 foot 11 inches and 10 pounds 13 ounces. So this is the medical pouch I got recently. This one is dated. It was made by Mills in 1918, and I was actually able to find this soldier, which is pretty cool. And he's also from my state, which made it a little easier. I think it's the same soldier. I don't see why it wouldn't be 117th Infantry. But this is, like I was saying earlier, if you were here, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's just painted on there. I'm assuming it was done in the war. It looks like it was. I mean, there's no way for me to confirm this, but it's got a perfect little circle around it. It's got the Red Cross in it. And I love that because it doesn't make much sense as to why a soldier would do that. Compared to these two, that modification makes sense. This one makes sense. This one, not really. It's more just a personal preference kind of thing, which makes it even cooler. But this one, I think I gave, so shipping and all, I got this, a pistol belt, and a canteen with the 1945 canteen cover with a 43 canteen and a cup for like $50 or something like that. I got it because of this, because I'm going to probably sell that pistol belt, because I've got like 5 of them right now. I think I'm selling them for about $20 a piece. If you're interested, then hit me up. I'll get you a World War II pistol belt. I've got several of them. I've got some Alice stuff too. I've got some LC2, some LC1. No, I sold my LC1. I've got an LC2 pistol belt with a 1911 pouch on it. That's like, it's not a military issue. I've never seen one before. It's like a little polymer or polyester like pouch. It's kind of neat. But yeah, that wasn't bad. So I originally messaged the seller when they had them out there. They had this listed as a 1911 pouch. I said, hey, that's not a 1911 pouch. It's a medic pouch. They're not worth quite as much as the 1911 pouches from World War I. But, and I asked them if the canteen had a cup with it. They originally said no, that the canteen did not have a cup with it. So I said, well, that's about $20 if I want to get a new cup. So would you do 45 on it? And they said sure. So I sent them an offer for $40, and they took it. And I sent them my email because they don't live that far from me, like 3 hours or something like that. I told them, hey, you've got World War II stuff. I'll either buy it or I'll find somebody else to buy it, because I've got some connections now on World War II stuff. There's a guy I know that I've got if you ever seen a Yugoslavian M48 Mauser, I got one for one of my buddies that he's wanting to get in surplus stuff, was going to get a Linfield in 308 that had been rechambered in 308, and the guy backed out on him or some bull crap. And I said, hey, I've got this Yugo M48. Do you want it? And he said, sure. So I got that for him. But I have a lot of stuff that I'm putting on eBay that I'm selling. I prefer to do it privately, because I'd rather eBay not get a dime of my hard-earned money. They didn't do anything to get it. Actually, they kind of did. They are the platform for it. I like Craigslist a lot better, but Craigslist is dead, which sucks, because Craigslist invented like most of the stuff that all these other companies use to sell crap. But that's a stupid rant for another time. Anyways, but this stuff is why I love collecting, like the personal things that you can look at that and you can say, somebody put their time into this. This was somebody's, and they carried this with them through the war. How long they carried it, I don't know. And on that note, we have another item that is also completely unique, and also I'm insanely proud to own because I don't even know how I got it. We'll get that in a second. So, back again with more bullcrap, and this is another belt, but I'm gonna show it to you first, and I want you to leave in the comments what you think this is. So, do a good reveal, and what do you think its origins are? If I can get it oriented right. So here we have this belt. It's got a lot of buttons on it. It's a leather belt. Really stinking cool. It's a good display piece. I've displayed it for a little bit, but currently I have it sitting in my foot locker. But does anyone have any idea what this might be? And what era this thing is from? I'll give it a minute and then I'll give it away. I've done quite a bit of research on this one. I've got most of the origins of this stuff, but I've not been able to pinpoint the exact soldier that had this. I got really close. I just need to do a little more research because it's a little confusing as to the exact origins of this belt, although I can assume some stuff and I think some certain things happened with this. But this belt here is a World War I hate belt. So this belt started its life off as a, if you can tell by this buckle here, it started its life off as a French webbing belt. So yes, you're right, history nerd. This is a belt with buttons on it. You're very, very observant. And that's actually the key to what this belt actually is. So they call these a hate belt. So most of the time when you see a hate belt, it's a German belt with German buttons on it because a U.S. soldier took that belt and took the Germans' buttons and put them on it. Now this one is a little more interesting than that because this one is a French belt. So it started its life off as a French webbing belt. If you can kind of tell by the way this buckle's made and by the leather shaping. And then this gives us our second clue that this is a U.S. cavalry button. So this would have been used on the tack for, cavalry. I don't know exactly where this would have went, if it went on a bridle, a saddle somewhere. I've looked at some World War II saddles, not World War One, and I haven't really seen these. I need to find out exactly where they come from. But they have this three little prongs on the back that he put on here. But he's got two of these, one adorning each side. And these buttons are mostly French. So they're very cool buttons. So most of them are like, I can't remember if it's firefighters and some other stuff. But most of these are just, jacket and coat buttons. There's one Spanish button on here, and there's another one. I can't remember. There's so many of them, and I did a lot of research on them. It's hard to remember every single one. I've thought about getting this thing in a big frame and then putting like little cards next to whatever button is. But this one is a World War One eagle button that he has split, and this is like a coat button. He is split and put on there. Most of these are just attached by wire. That's how most of these are attached. And then the big ones are just, he cut the center of them, like this big button here. He cut the center of them and then pounded out the sides, again with that button. But with this hate belt, you can see he's got another one there. I think this one is the Spanish one. I'm not 100%, but a lot of French ones have. Sadly, it's missing two of them. It's been missing two for quite a while. You can kind of tell that they've been gone for a while. But then it's got the other U.S. button, and this one is a Engineer Corps button that will go on the collar of a World War I uniform. So that's pretty cool. It's got a little different of a, I think it's I don't know if it screws on exactly what it does, but it's a really neat belt. I had it displayed for a while, but I don't really have the room for it anymore. But really cool piece. I did a short on it. I believe that's what happened. Yes, history nerd. Thank you for commenting. I really appreciate that. But I believe that's what happened with this belt. So this belt was originally owned by a U.S. World War One soldier, and me going back to actually the origins of this belt. So I have the name and an ID card from the man that this came from. So when I bought this on eBay for $20. Okay, or like it's closer to 30. Anyways, I bought it for nothing. This is like the belt. The buttons alone are worth like $100, but the history behind it is priceless to me. Anyways, I do talk about price points a little bit, but just so I can give you an idea of what like collector kind of thing, what some of this stuff is worth and what it goes for, that kind of thing. And the rarity of it also goes with the price tag, except now that everything's going high. Anyways, ran aside. So this belt, the man that had this served in World War II. He originally, I believe, enlisted in late 1940, I want to say 44 or 45. It might have been 42. I can't remember. It was 1940s, about early to mid 1940s is when he was in World War II. But I've got the ID card out of this chest that he had, and this is all World War One buttons. Every one of these buttons date to World War One. So what I assume is this was a relative of his, most likely his father's belt that he had. I don't know if he had it, if he ever took it to World War II, he just kept it in his chest. But this is the hate belt that his father most likely had. And then I believe he later on went to work for the War Department after World War II for a little while, just based on some of his records. I've got a records request for him that I'm going to go into and try to find more information about him in particular. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But this one was really fun to do the research for. Especially, so this doesn't have a name on it. It doesn't have any definitive markings anywhere. And if it wasn't for when I bought it, I talked to the guy, or I messaged the guy that had it, and I was like, hey, do you have any idea where this came from? Where, anything else about it? And he said, well, I got it out of this chest. The guy that had it, he passed away in 2019. It's just been sitting there, and I've had this thing for, not a year yet, but I've had it for a little while. And he said that the guy passed away in 2019. It had just been sitting in the chest, but he did find this ID card. He was selling off some of the other stuff that was in the chest. I didn't see anything else that I really was particularly interested in. I did get a pair of World War II boxers from him too, but anyways. But this is what caught my eye, and I bought it from him, not really knowing what it was worth. I just thought it was really cool looking, and I wanted it. So I did, and then I've done the research on it, and I messaged him, and I was like, hey, who was this dude? Do you have anything from him? He's like, oh, I have this ID card. So I went and I did the research to find the dude and a little more about him, but I still need to do the requests for his actual records, because I would really love to know more about the guy that had this, and maybe be able to find his own father who probably had this belt, because it doesn't make much sense for a guy in World War II to have all World War I buttons. This is all World War I on a World War I French belt, and it's amazing to me how good condition this leather is in. This leather is in very good condition for being probably over 100 years old. This is over 100 years old. This one that's fake. This one is not. I don't think I have one. That British bayonet may be over 100 years old, not 100%. This canteen is. But it's really cool to me to be able to hold something that old. This is nowhere near the oldest thing I have, though. I've got a little bitty pistol from 1865. But the other thing that I brought out right quick, because it was in my chest. But this, I have a series. I think you guys check it out. I personally really love it, but I'm also biased. But I have a series called The Book of Rifles, and what I do basically is I take a gun that I have, I'll open up the book, I'll find, because it's got a little index in it, so you can. The reason I have gloves on is because I have the bayonets. I don't really care about touching much of this other stuff, but the bayonets, I'll put a good layer of oil on them before I put them up so they don't rust. But anyways, so this book was given to me, but this is if you're wanting a book on World War II guns or just military guns in general from like the late 1800s to the 1960s, I highly recommend getting a Book of Rifles. They're not that expensive. You can find them on eBay for less than $30. But it goes through alphabetically. First, it starts out with like different types of rifles and different actions and stuff, and then it goes through every country, and you can see the pages and stuff. So with this Book of Rifles series, what I've been doing is I've been flipping open to a page. So now we're in Germany, and you can see some of the German weapons here. There's the East German SKS. you can see different guns in here and stuff. But what I've been doing is, going and opening up to a page of a rifle that I own, and then let's say this is one of the German K98. That's a 22 trainer German K98. Anyways, there's some prototype stuff in here and some really cool stuff. But you can see like the loading mechanism for this is a German model 1889. You can see the loading mechanism for it. But let's take this German 1889 or 1888 carbine, for example. So if, let's say on some planet I had one of these, I would, I'll go and, bring it up to the camera, and then it, comes back out and it transitions into the rifle, and then I'm shooting it. So what I'm wanting to do with this series is it's easier to film the shorts for it and then post them. The only bad thing about it is this is not great audience retention. Good audience retention is quick. Like I show a gun being shot or show something kind of cool, and then you go into what you want to see. And that doesn't really flow for me very well with these Book of Rifles kind of thing. So what I've been doing is, I'll have it, then I'll zoom it bring it into the camera, then it comes back out and it's the gun, then I'll shoot it and stuff like that. But what I've kind of been wanting to do is actually use the book itself for the research for the guns, and say we have a long form video called The Book of Rifles, and it goes over a brief history of this gun. I don't know how long I want to make the videos. I want to make them not super long, because I can usually talk about guns for stinking ever because of the amount of research that I do behind them, especially stuff like the M1 Garand or my Swiss rifles. Love my Swiss rifles. But what I want to do is spend, maybe 5-10 minutes, talk about the gun, use this book as a basis, much less on the outside knowledge that I have, unless I find something really cool or, whatever. But have some structure to it, and have that long form video, and then, have the shooting at the end or whatever, and then have the short form video that goes with it, that goes along with the same narrative that I've had of, it being the gun. I don't have a K98. I've got a Czech VZ24, but you get the idea. I really love this series. I think it's a great thing. I've made an intro to it that I recorded on my guitar. I don't know. I love the idea of this. And especially this book was given to me, and the guy that gave it, I've been showing him them videos, and he likes them. So far, I only got 2 out, but I've got a bunch more guns in here that I can record with this, but I just haven't done it yet. It's a little expensive to do because ammunition, but it's fun. I bought the ammunition to shoot it anyways. But that's one of my favorite projects that I've been doing. If you want to see more of that, leave some comments and suggestions about what I can do to improve it. Some of them I'm able to put music on, some of them I'm not. The one I did on my Japanese Arisaka, I just posted on Instagram, and holy crap, I love how it turned out, because it's, the intro of it is me, or it's a little guitar riff. It opens up, it tells you Book of Rifles, pages, whatever, Japanese Arisaka. Then it opens up to me sitting on a park bench, and then I pull it up to the camera, and then it transitions as I'm pulling towards the Arisaka is pulling towards the camera on the page. The Made in Japan by Buck Owens starts playing, and you can hear it building up, and then when it transitions over into the actual Arisaka, it fully, it's at full volume for whatever I have it set out in that video, and then you can just hear it playing for the rest of it. And I love that transition, and I think it turned out really great. But I think I can do more stuff with that. But it's hard to do it on YouTube because you have to make it under a minute. And for that video in particular, my Japanese Arisaka has bad head spacing, which means that there's too much room for the bullet. Like the chamber, let's say the chamber's around this. Well, there's a gap in the back of it, and it blew the primer out the back of it and sent gas all in my face, which wasn't very fun. But I got a video of that. I didn't get video of it rupturing because I was videoing the steel plate I was shooting at the time, but it did not feel good, I'll tell you that much. I knew exactly what had happened when it happened too. I was a little bit excited about it actually, because I thought it was kind of cool, even though it is a little dangerous. But Japanese Arisakas are one of the strongest actions in the world. Not in the world, but they're one of the strongest actions of any military surplus rifle. I can get into the specifics of that. I don't know if any of you would be super interested in it, but I'm probably going to say it anyways. So the Japanese Arisaka is a Mauser derivative. So Arisaka bayonet, Mauser bayonet, just for reference or whatever. Anyways, the Arisaka is a Mauser derivative. It's not the same design as a Mauser, but that's what it came from. Well, the Arisaka bolt lugs are shallower, so they're not as tall as a Mauser rifle like a Kar 98, but they're longer, so they have more surface area closer to the body of the bolt, which makes the action much stronger. And there's a myth that Arisakas will blow up if you shoot them. That's a different thing because, anyways, but those Arisakas, because of their because of the bolt lug geometry, can withstand 3 times the operating pressure of its normal operating pressure. When guns like the Springfield 1903, I know this is M1 Garand bayonet, but guns like the Springfield 1903, they will be shedding locking lugs at the same pressure that the Arisaka is. Just it leaves indents on the back of the lugs, but it's still fine, which is crazy. Like, Japanese have precision machining. Their metallurgy is so good. Their guns are like the Rolls Royce of military surplus, in my opinion. The monopods, the dust covers, the anti-aircraft sights, the drain holes in there, the stinking stocks too, because they are 2-piece stocks. They don't crack at the toe as easy. The quick detached sling, which is kind of cool. The chrome lined bore. The plumb bolt on it, the knurling on the safety, everything is just so beautiful about those guns. I love Japanese guns. I didn't actually ever think I'd own one, which is weird. I don't know why I thought that. They're not super expensive. Of course, I stole mine basically. I paid like 1/4 of what they were worth. But I've got an example of, just like these bayonets, I've got the last ditch bayonet there, and then the mid-war. I have an early 1940, I think, Nagoya No Series Type 99 Arisaka, and then I have a late war last ditch Nagoya Series 11 Type 99 Arisaka, which is really cool. I actually like the last ditch better, even though it has bad head spacing. Both of them have matching parts on them, but don't have the chrysanthemum on them, sadly. But it's hard to find them with matching bolts, and the fact that both of them do is crazy. But I like the last ditch better than I do the actual fancier early war one, because the history behind why they made them so poorly machined is so interesting to me that it makes it worth so much more just on a personal level, because I think they're cool. And that goes to show with these bayonets too. These bayonets are worth more than those, because just a little bit more, like I think like $50 or so more than these bayonets, the mid-war bayonets, because they're crude and people like that. But the early war one, the pre-1900 one, is a little rarer, so they're worth a heck of a lot more. They're worth about double what these are, which is interesting. But I can go get web gear. I don't know if I can fit web gear up here. I've already got enough stuff. Let's see. Questions about anything? I do have a M43 uniform. I have posted some pictures of that, I think on Eager Beaver Outdoors and other stuff. I've got to get M37 wools because I don't have any currently for it. But yeah, this is some of my collection. I've got a lot more in the safe and other stuff. I should have brought, oh man, I should have brought that out. I could go get it, but it would take too long. Not going to spoil that either, but this is new to me. I've been on lives before, and usually the comments will keep stuff going or whatever else, but I'm not big enough for that yet. But maybe attract new viewers, maybe attract the people that haven't seen stuff like this before that want to see more of it. But what got me into history? That is a great question. I really appreciate that. So I've always been kind of interested in history, which is kind of like a not very interesting answer at all. But I've always liked history. It was always a subject that I really appreciated and liked studying. And World War II was something that I'd studied and stuff before, and I liked it, and I thought the stuff was cool. But like most people my age, because I can't buy a pistol yet legally. That's all I'll say. But most people my age, think it's kind of cool, but they didn't really do anything with it. And I don't remember if I had anything before that. But what really changed that for me was Christmas 2 years ago. I got a Korean War M1 Garand cartridge belt that my grandma bought at a yard sale for $5. And I said, man, that's cool. So I was like,
I want to get a Garand. I got the belt. I have to get the Garand for the belt because that's how that works. You've got the $40 belt, so you're gonna get the $1,000 gun to go with it. Anyways, so I was like, I'm gonna get a Garand. So I thought about it and I did a little research on it. I thought it was kind of neat. I ended up getting some suspenders for it first, but I didn't even realize at the time. But they're 1945 pattern suspenders, not the 36 ones that are accurate. I ended up getting some accurate ones last Christmas, I think is what it was. Or, yeah, this last Christmas. But, anyways, I kind of got into it. I thought it was kind of cool. I got a Chinese T-53 Mosin Nagant that I got that one. I didn't know much about them at that point. I'd done a lot of research. I'd always kind of liked guns, but I never got into it this much. I've shot for years, but I never got into it like super. But then I got that cartridge belt, and I was like, yeah. So I got the Mosin Nagant. I kind of wish I hadn't got that one. I wish I'd got a little better Mosin. I kind of overpaid for it. I think it was like $450. Shouldn't have given that much for it, but I didn't know at the time. I'm actually going to sell it now because I'm going to buy a better Mosin Nagant. But it's a fun gun, but it kicks like a stinking mule. It's got the side folding bayonet, and but it kicks like a mule, and it throws a fireball. I've got a video of me shooting it with tracers at steel. Them tracers lit up like a stinking 4th of July on that steel. And the fireball of that thing is about a foot wide. You can't really see it in that video as well, but I've got a picture of me shooting that thing. And it's like a stinking fire. It's a giant fireball that goes off in front of you. And I can shoot shotgun all day. I've shot over 300 rounds of 12 gauge in a day and been fine. But I shoot 20 rounds out of that stinking Mosin and I'm done. That my shoulder's done with that metal butt plate. But do I reenact? So yes, I've got a uniform, but no, I don't reenact yet. I want to go on some reenactments. If you follow M1 Garand Girl, me and her have messaged a little bit. She does French stuff and and a lot of whack women's Army Corps stuff. But I've thought about doing French resistance because I've got the British stuff to do it with. I can throw some. Try to reload some 303 British blanks. I don't know how to do that, but I can try to figure it out. And I've got a British Lee Enfield. I've got a British helmet. I just have to get just like generic, everyday outfits from the day, the pants, shirt. Shouldn't be that expensive to do, but I might do some French resistance because I think that would be kind of cool. Just throw some 303 British and M1 Garand bandolier and have like some kind of little satchel or something. Or I could use my German Walther PPK, but that one you can't really find blanks for, so it wasn't really. And it's semi-auto, so you'd have to do some stuff to it to get it to actually cycle. Anyways, I thought about doing French resistance. I have a. Yeah, I need to look into that. I think I talked to her about that one. Not 100%. Need to write that down. But I have an M43 uniform. I was originally doing 3rd Armored Division like my great-grandfather, but I didn't realize that at the time. But I do need the M37 wool uniform to go under it. But I've got the M43. I've got double buckle boots. I need to put snow seal on them. I put Minkle. They're just not dark enough. I've walked them things probably about 25, 30 miles in them boots. I've wore them in. If you ever get World War II boots, put some stinking insoles in them. They have no padding whatsoever, and they will kill your stinking feet. Put insoles in them. They're good boots. I like them. I like the double buckle boots. I like weed eating in them and stuff like that, or hiking in them because you can put them. You can blouse your pants. Usually, I won't blouse them. I'll put my pants over them because they look weird when you're walking. But when you're hiking, they keep the ticks from going up your leg because you can tighten them around your pants, which is kind of nice. But I've got that uniform. I'm wanting to do U.S. Marine Corps. I've got this machete. I've got a 782 pack and some other Marine Corps items. I've kind of thought about doing a Marine Corps one, but it would be. I want to get some HBTs, but it's going to be probably like $300 or $400 for me to get into that. And I would rather first finish my World War II uniform, so I have similar to my great-grandfather's. And I'm either debating doing World War I because I've got an M1903 Springfield that a buddy of mine that collects bought specifically so I can buy it from him later. It's cut for a Pedersen vise. It was made in the 1920s. This and rebarreled in I think 1942 is when it was rebarreled. But it's M1903 Springfield, with a 1906 bayonet, which is early because they started producing. It's an M1905 pattern bayonet. This one is dated 1906 and has a scabbard dated from 1907. Anyways, I've got World War I stuff like this belt, like this pouch, like this canteen over here. I've got the M1910 haversack. I've got the cartridge belt. I don't have a World War I helmet yet, and I don't have the uniform yet or the boots and stuff. And that's gonna probably be like $400 or $500 stinking dollars. But I would rather get my World War II one finished first, or do Marine Corps, because it's too stinking hot to wear an M43 field jacket and M43 pants. Because I've worn them. I like the M43. I've worn it as just a windbreaker. Works great for windbreaker. I keep a Jeep cap and a hood for it in the pockets, and then some gloves. They're not World War II gloves. They're just gloves. Really like it as a windbreaker, just to walk around in. I have a reproduction M43, but I also have an original M43 field jacket, still in its cutter tags. I don't know if you have ever seen anything like it before. I'll go get it. I'll also go get my other uniform that I have. Let me extend my camera out just a little bit. And I'm put some of this stuff away, so that way it's, because I've got too much packed in right here. I got the child's gas mask sitting over here. I'll put it over there. I just have this Vietnam helmet sitting on my bedpost, which is pretty stinking neat. I have a couple Vietnam items, but not really focused on it in particular. I like it, but it's just another thing. More money going somewhere else when I already spend way too much here. Anyway, I'm gonna go get those uniforms. They're also really cool. So first, I'm going to clear this section out so that way I don't get oils or whatever else on my jackets, because I really like them and I would like them to stay in the condition they're in. If you have any uniforms, you'll know this one. Sadly, I can't wear originals for the most part. I'm 6'3", like 200 pounds. So anything original is just about out of the picture for me wanting to wear, because they were not very big guys. My great-grandfather was not a very big dude, and I definitely couldn't wear anything his. Just finding something that's relatively my size is even hard to do. My M43 field jacket's a 42 regular. My stinking M43 double buckle boots are 13s. They're the biggest ones I could find. But yeah. Oh, you do paratrooper reenacting? That's pretty cool. What division do you do? You know the M1A1 carbine that the paratroopers would use? I know a guy that has his great-grandfather's M1A1 carbine that he jumped with in World War II. Medical battalion. That's pretty cool. Third 26 Medical Battalion. I've actually not heard of them. I've not done a lot of research into the airborne units. But he has his great-grandfather's M1A1 carbine with the folding stock that he carried in World War II, which is like the coolest thing ever. I used to have one of the pouches. That's cool. Mid to late war. Mine's a 1944, 1945 impression. Well, to be honest, mine's more of like a murder hobo impression because all the crap I have that I put together on it. But it's infantry. You can make it infantry if you wanted to. But that M1A1 carbine is really cool. It's got the folding stock on it. I had one of the pouches that they would carry in, those canvas pouches that the paratroopers would put them in. I had one of those, but I sold it to another collector friend of mine that also has an M1A1 carbine.
But here we have our first uniform. So this one, it's pretty recognizable. Obviously, we have an M43 field jacket here, but you'll notice this one's covered in tags, and that's what's cool about this jacket right here. If I can pull it over a little bit, so you can't really see the whole thing. But this is an M43 field jacket that was made in 1945 that is still in its original cutter tags. So these are what they call cutter tags. They are all over this jacket. There's a better one there. So you can see you got the lot number, you've got the size on it, which is 31R regular. And this is how they're originally issued. This is a brand new M41 field jacket from 1945. So they were originally issued like this. They would have these tags on them, and they looked like this. My reproduction is of a different company. So I believe it's this pocket. So nope. So if I open up this pocket, this canvas or this jacket feels very nice too. So if I open up this pocket, you'll be able to see the tag in it. So this tag says 43 field jacket. You can see Cosmopolitan Manufacturing Co. I think that's what that says. But it says, why is it not focusing? July 1945. And then you can look down there and you can see the inspector's mark down there. But this one, really awesome. I've never seen another one like for sale on eBay or anywhere that is brand new in condition like this. This one I got at a surplus store. It was hanging on the wall behind the counter. I said, "Is that an M43 field jacket?" I said, "Yeah." And at the time, I was looking for one because I hadn't had my uniform yet. And I was like, "What size is it?" And they said, "Well," and I looked at it and said, "43R, I can't wear it." And he said, "I wouldn't wear one like that." And they wanted $100 for it. And I was like, that seems like a good price, but I don't really know. So I passed it up and I thought, well, and then I thought about it and did a little more research. I was like, man, you really missed out on that. Not realizing that what these tags meant. Then I went back like 2-3 months later and it was still there. And I knew the guy, and I'd met the guy that was working there previously. I kind of knew him. And I already asked him about it. I said, "Hey, would your boss take $80 for that jacket?" He said, "Sure." So I went down there and got this jacket for $80. 80 stinking dollars, the same amount I paid for my reproduction. And this is a brand new in cutter tags jacket. You can see the 43R tag there. You can see the printing in the back of it. This is the kind of thing that a reproduction company would want because they can see exactly how this jacket was made. They can see exactly what it would have looked like brand new so they can replicate it. That's what this is. Look how shiny the buttons are on this thing. That's one complaint I do have about my reproduction. I've done some comparisons between this jacket and my reproduction. It's mostly really good. The stitching is almost all the same, but on these buttons, they're very good brown color. But on my reproduction, they're faded in the sun very quickly. I didn't like it. And they don't have as much stitching in the button itself. Of course, it's not a high-end reproduction anyways. But yeah.